They want you emotional, because emotional people are easy to control. They push, you react, they win. That is how weak men are led. But the man who controls his mind controls the room, and that man is rare. Not because the skill is hard to learn, because most men never decide to learn it. They feel the push, they answer it every single time. The insult lands, they rise to it. The pressure builds, they crack under it. The bait is set, they walk straight into it. And they call it passion. They call it heart. They call it standing up for themselves. It is none of those things. It is giving someone else the wheel, handing it to them, then wondering why you end up somewhere you did not choose. Think about the last time someone got under your skin. What did they do? They said something, or they did something. Something small, something that should not have mattered, but it did. And in the 2 seconds after, you were not you anymore. You were a reaction, not a decision. That is the gap. 2 seconds. That is where control lives. That is where power is either kept or given away. Most men never even know the gap exists. Gone. Before the thought is finished, before the breath is taken, the answer is already out. The emotion is already showing. The hand is already played. And the person who pushed you, they did not even have to try hard. That is the part that should sit with you. Not that it happened, but how little effort it took. One word from someone, one look from someone, one tone from someone, and everything you built, composure, reputation, position, dropped. Just like that.
What does that cost you? At work, at home, in the room where decisions get made. When you react fast, when the face changes, when the voice raises, when the tension shows, people see it. Not just the person who pushed you, everyone watching. And what they see is not strength. What they see is a weak point, a button, and they file it away. That is what losing looks like from the outside. You never knew it was happening, but everyone else did. The ones who win in the long run, the ones who stay dangerous in any room, they learn something early. Emotion shown is a map. Every time you react, you hand someone the map to you. You show them exactly what to push, exactly what works, exactly what gets through. And once they have that map, they use it. Not once, every time they need something from you. You built the tool they use against you with your own reaction. That is the truth. Not anger. That is what most people think it is. They think control means no fire. They think calm means empty. They think quiet means soft. It means none of those things. The calm man is not the one who feels nothing. He feels everything. He feels the insult. He feels the pressure. He feels the pull to react. And he does not. That is not weakness. That is the hardest thing a man can do. Feel the full weight of something and stay exactly where he is. The man who keeps his voice flat when someone expects it to rise, that man is already 3 steps ahead, because the person who pushed him is now watching, now waiting, now wondering, did it land? Why is there no reaction? What is he thinking? And the second they start wondering, you have them. Not because you did anything, because you did nothing. And nothing in that moment was the most powerful move available.
Think about combat. Not the part that looks impressive. The part that wins fights. The one who stays cold in the exchange. The one whose face does not change when hurt. The one who takes a hit. Resets. Thinks. Moves. That man is dangerous. Not because he cannot be hurt. Because being hurt
does not change him. The opponent cannot read him, cannot find a pattern, cannot predict the next step. That is the advantage control builds. Real tactical advantage, not a feeling, an edge. And the one who gets hit and gets angry, he telegraphs the next move. He chases instead of waits. He leaves openings because the emotion is running the engine now, not the mind. The angry man is the easier man to beat. Not because he fights less hard, because he fights predictably. Emotion is a pattern, and patterns get exploited every time. Every time. The test is not whether someone can push you. Everyone can be pushed. Every person, every man in any room has a pressure point. The test is what happens when it gets hit. That is the only test. And you either pass it or you hand something over. The man who provokes you, he is not stupid. He might not know it consciously, but the move he is making is calculated. Get the reaction, see what it looks like, use it. It is manipulation, and it works on most men. Because most men were never taught to see it. They were taught to stand up for themselves. They were taught that taking disrespect means weakness. They were taught that a real man answers. And all of that made them easier to handle. Not harder, easier. The man who answers every push is the most manageable man in the room. Because you always know what he will do. You just push.
The man they cannot read. The one who does not answer on their timeline. The one who takes the hit with a flat face and steady breath. That man costs them something to deal with. He is expensive, unpredictable, hard to move. And hard to move means hard to beat in any arena. What year are you in right now? Not the calendar year, the year of your growth. Are you still the man who reacts fast, who shows everything, who gives the map away? Or have you started to close that door? Because a year from now, the man who trained this, who built the control, who practiced the flat face and the slow breath, will walk into rooms differently. Not with performance, with actual command. Earned command, built command. Earned. Not given, not assumed. Built through every moment you held it together when holding it together was hard. That is the only way this works. You do not talk your way into this. You do not decide once and have it. You build it under pressure, or you do not build it at all. The ones who carry real presence, the ones who walk into a room and shift it, they did not get there with performance. They got there because they went through situations, hard ones, and did not crack. Not once, then twice. Then it was just who they were. Pressure came, they felt it, held it, stayed, and over time, that became the default. Not effort anymore, just the way they move.
One thing separates the man who gets used from the man who cannot be used. It is not size, not status, not intelligence, not how long he has been in the game. It is the 2-second gap. The space between what hits you and what you decide to do with it. The man who has no gap answers every time, gives the map every time, gets led every time. The man who builds the gap, every training rep, every hard conversation, every moment he chose the flat face instead of the fast answer. That man is different. Not because he feels less, because he decides more. There is a version of you that everyone around you has mapped already. They know the buttons, they know what works, they know when to push and what to expect. That version is manageable. There is a version of you
that has no readable pattern, that gives nothing away, that moves when he decides to move, not when he is pushed. That version is dangerous. One of them gets led, one of them leads, and the only thing between them is the choice you make in the gap. The gap. That is where this entire thing lives. Feel everything, show nothing, decide everything. That is the practice, not a concept, not a principle, a daily practice. Every provocation, every insult, every moment someone tests how far they can push. Those are not attacks, they are training sessions, and you either let them train you or you use them to train yourself. The man who practices this, who takes the push and holds, who takes the word and breathes, who takes the pressure and waits, he gets sharper every time. Because every time he holds, the gap gets longer. He gets more time in the space between hit and response, more room to decide, more control over the outcome. And the man who reacts, who answers every push, he gets less sharp because he is always running on reaction, never on decision. Reaction is someone else driving. Decision is you driving. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Not in terms of money, not in terms of position, in terms of who controls your responses. Because if the answer is still anyone who knows the right button, nothing else you build will hold. The career you build can be undone by one bad reaction in the wrong room. The relationship you build can crack from one moment the control breaks. The reputation you built across years damaged in seconds by something you did not decide, by something that just came out. That is the cost, paid over a lifetime, compounding. Every year, the man with no control gives more away. Every year, the man with full control builds more power. The ones who made it through hard things, who came out on the other side harder, not broken, they did not do it with passion or with fire or with speeches. They did it with quiet. Head down, mouth closed, face flat, moving. Not because they had nothing to say, because they understood something. Words spent in reaction are power given away. Silence used with intent is power kept. Kept. Every moment you held the silence when they wanted noise from you, that was yours. Every time the face stayed flat when they needed it to change, that was yours. Every time you breathed instead of broke, that was yours. And it stacks. Control is not a one-time thing. It is not a decision you make once and keep forever. It is built moment by moment, held rep by rep, earned in the hard moments, only in the hard moments. Nothing else counts. The person who will test you hardest will not be a stranger. It will be someone close, someone who knows the map, who has used it before, who knows exactly which words to choose. And in that moment, all of this will be tested. Not the idea of it, the practice of it. Because ideas do not hold under real pressure. Practice does. Only practice. What you have actually done in the hard moments, that is what you will have available. If you have never held the gap under real pressure, it will not be there when you need it most. That is not a threat. That is the structure. Train the gap now, when the cost of losing it is lower. Build the flat face now, when the room is smaller. Practice the breath now, before the room gets bigger. Because the room will get bigger. The stakes will rise. The pressure will be real, and the man who built the gap will be ready. The man who waited, who thought he would figure it out when it mattered, will find out what he actually has, usually at the worst possible time. The one who is listening this right now, the one who already knows which moments they gave the map away, the one who can still name the exact words someone used that sent them off track, showed too much, cost them something real. That one. The map you gave away is gone. That cost is real. It happened. What is not gone is the gap. It can be built from where you are right now. This is not about what happened. This is about what you do in every moment after. The reaction you gave yesterday is over. The next moment someone pushes, that is the real test, and that one is still coming. Every loop that was opened, the question of where the control lives, the gap, the question of what it costs to lose it, a year, a decade, a lifetime, the question of who you hand the wheel to every time you react without deciding, they all close here. The calm man wins, not because the calm man feels nothing, because the calm man decides everything. He takes the push, he breathes, he waits, and in that wait he is already winning, because the person who pushed him needed a reaction, expected one, built their next move around getting it, and the calm man gave them nothing. So now they are waiting, and he's thinking, and the one who is thinking always has the edge. They wanted you emotional, they always do, because emotional is manageable, emotional is readable, emotional is led. But you already know that now. And knowing it changes the gap. Knowing it changes the breath. Knowing it changes what your face does, what your voice does, what you hand over, and what you keep. This is not about being cold. It is about being deliberate. Every reaction is a decision, or it is a surrender. One or the other, every time. No middle ground. The man who controls the gap controls the outcome. Not sometimes, not when it's easy. Every time someone puts pressure on the gap. Every time someone needs you to react. Every time the room gets hot. The man who holds wins. Not loudly, quietly, surely, completely. That's the kind of power no one can take, because it is not given. It was built, moment by moment, rep by rep, gap by gap. The room does not control him. He controls the room. And that's what you came here to become.